Good afternoon. This is Mr. Ken, and I am the Young Adult Librarian at the Lakeview Terrace branch of the Los Angeles Public Library. Welcome to our special Mosquito Awareness Program. This program is part of the Global Citizen Science Month. Today we have two special guests from the Greater Los Angeles Vector Control District who will be sharing with us some very important information and knowledge about mosquitoes, so we don't become mosquitoes' meals all the time. First, I would like to introduce Caroline Gongora, the Community Liaison for the Central Southern region of the LA County Vector Control District.
Hello everyone, nice to meet you.
Also joining us is Diana Gutierrez, the Community Liaison for the San Fernando Valley region of the LA Vector Control.
Hey everyone.
Today's program will be presented in two segments, one in Spanish and one in English. Diana will be our presenter for the English presentation, and Caroline will be our presenter for the Spanish presentation. Now let's turn our attention to Diana.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ken. Hello, again, like Mr. Ken said, my name is Diana Gutierrez, and I am the Community Liaison for the San Fernando Valley. So let me share my screen. Okay. So good afternoon. I will be speaking about mosquitoes that inhabit our communities and cities of Los Angeles County. But first, let me start with our organization, Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control. We are a special district formed in 1952, similar to a water district. However, we focus on mosquito control. We currently serve 35 cities within LA County and also unincorporated areas of LA County. We serve nearly 6 million residents, and as you can see from our map, our district is very large. We cover areas north to Santa Clarita, south to San Pedro, and also east to Diamond Bar. At our district, we use integrated vector management, or IVM, which is the most effective and sustainable strategy for preventing vector-borne diseases. In our district, we have 3 departments who focus on mosquito control. Our laboratory department monitors disease transmission, mosquito population. Our operations department conducts inspections, source reduction, and treatments. And our communications department attends events and conducts presentations similar to what you are looking at right now. It is important to know that the mosquito is the world's deadliest animal and kills over 700,000 people every year. And it is because they transmit diseases like malaria, West Nile virus, and Zika. But before that, we have to ask ourselves, is it a mosquito? A lot of people actually confuse crane flies, which you see on the side, for a mosquito. However, this is just a flying insect because they do not have the proboscis, which is the mouth part that actually bites us. But if you see on the side, the mosquito is a very small insect. And if a good way to indicate if it is a mosquito or not, if it is larger than a quarter, then it is a crane fly. However, if it is smaller than a quarter, then you probably might have a mosquito. We will first talk about the mosquito life cycle. After a female mosquito bites us, she looks for standing water to lay her eggs. Female mosquitoes can lay their eggs on water, on the water surface or on the sides of containers. Each female can lay up to 300 eggs. When the eggs are laid, the mosquito goes through 4 life cycles. It's egg, larva, pupa, and adult. And a mosquito can complete its life cycle within 5 to 7 days. But in the summertime, when it is warmer, they can complete their cycle within 3 to 5 days. As you can see on the side, the image in the top, these are larvae. And on the bottom, this is just a quick video of how their life cycle goes. There are over 3,000 species of mosquitoes in the world, but in LA, there are 2 species that we will be focusing on. The first is the Culex mosquito. This is native to California, and they are brown. They are active during dusk and dawn, and the diseases they transmit are West Nile virus and St. Louis encephalitis. The mosquito below that is the Aedes mosquito. This is a black and white striped mosquito. They are, what is it called? Yeah, they are invasive to our area, and they bite all throughout the day. The diseases they can transmit are Zika, dengue, yellow fever, and chikungunya. And for our pets, canine heartworm. However, it is important to note that currently there is no local transmission of Zika, dengue, yellow fever, and chikungunya. So first we will talk about the Culex mosquito, which is native to California. It is important to note that the Culex mosquito can transmit West Nile virus. West Nile virus is endemic, which means it is present every year in our area. It is important to note that up to 80% of residents or people that do get bit by an infected mosquito will not show symptoms. 1 in 5 will develop flu-like symptoms, and 1 in 150 will become severely ill. Those over 50 years old and weakened immune systems are at greater risk. As you can see the image on the side, this is how transmission occurs. An infected bird might get bit by a mosquito, then that infected mosquito bites a healthy bird, or vice versa, will bite a human. And that is how the West Nile virus is transmitted to humans. As I mentioned before, 80% of people do not have symptoms. 20% of people do develop symptoms like tiredness or fever, and 2% develop severe symptoms like tremors or paralysis. It is also important to note that there is no vaccine or treatment for West Nile virus. So it is very important to know how to protect yourself from these mosquitoes. Next, we will talk about the Aedes mosquito, which is the black and white striped mosquito and is invasive to our area. So here you see a map of our district area, and it's going to show the progressive of the Aedes mosquito. Originally, we found this new invasive mosquito in South and Monty in 2011. And throughout the years, this mosquito has spread through our district. We always get the question, how has this mosquito been able to spread so quickly in the last years? And the answer is because they thrive in urban environments like our communities and cities in Los Angeles. These mosquitoes can thrive indoors and outdoors, and they prefer small man-made containers to lay their eggs. The Aedes mosquito is also an aggressive daytime biter, which is the difference from the Culex mosquito. The Aedes mosquito, they also bite on the on the ankles, which hence they're nicknamed the ankle biters. And when the Aedes mosquito does bite, our immune systems are not used to their bites, so therefore our bodies react by creating these large welts, and they're very itchy. As I mentioned before, the Aedes mosquito can transmit dengue, chikungunya, yellow fever, and Zika. Before COVID-19 in 2019, there was a worldwide surge of dengue cases. Therefore, it is very important to note that if you do plan to travel to a tropical country, to remember to protect yourself, which I will get into more details on how to. A lot of people also ask, where do these mosquitoes come from? And the answer is our homes. As I mentioned before, the Aedes mosquito is a container breeder, and they only need a bottle cap of water to lay their eggs. As a result, we do have items in our property that have the possibility to hold water. So these are some examples of containers that can potentially be breeding sources for these mosquitoes. A plant saucer will collect water if the plant is overwatered and there's no holes in the bottom for the water to drain out. Pet bowls if they're not changed regularly, and a bucket if it is left facing up, and if it rains and we forget to flip it over, it can collect water. And here are some other breeding sources. For example, drains, if they're not maintained or there is debris in the way, that can collect water. We also have roof gutters if they are not cleaned or cleared with debris that can also collect water. And then also basketball stands, as you see here. It is usually recommended to be filled with sand instead of water. And we always have residents, when they go back to their yards, they see these types of potential sources. And if you do see little wigglers, or as they are called, larvae, that's an indication that you do have a breeding source. So even a trash can become a potential breeding source. And as I mentioned before, the Aedes mosquito can also breed inside our homes. Here are some examples of some potential breeding sources that we can find. If it is not cleaned out daily, the coffee maker base can collect water. Because the toilet brush stand does not have holes in the bottom, that can also accumulate water. And also our water-based plants, like lucky bamboo, can be a potential breeding source if the water is not replaced every other day. So the best way to decrease mosquito activity on your property is by removing stagnant water. Tip and toss any stagnant water, indoors and outdoors. Remove, scrub, flip over, and cover any dirty containers that can hold water. Drill holes of open containers, and if you cannot remove the water because the container is too large, or it should have water, for example, a fountain, use mosquito dunce, BTI. BTI is a naturally occurring bacterium found in soils, and it produces toxins into the midgut when ingested by the larva, which causes the larva to eat it and stop eating and die. BTI will not harm people, pets, other animals, aquatic lives, and insects, including honeybees. It is important to emphasize scrubbing containers because these Aedes eggs can actually survive without water for over a year and will hatch when water is present and conditions are right. Therefore, it is important not to just tip and toss the water from a container, but remember to scrub it with a steel wool, leave it in the sun for 24 to 48 hours or until it's dry, and then you're able to put it away. And to prevent mosquito bites, remember to wear long sleeve shirts, pants when mosquitoes are present. Maintain screen windows and doors. Use EPA registered insect repellent containing DEET, IR 3535, picaridin, and oil of lemon eucalyptus. When purchasing insect repellent, it is important to look at the bottom of the bottle to look at the percentage of active ingredient. It is recommended that you purchase something that is 20% or higher. And we also advise to not use these candles and bug zappers because they actually attract more mosquitoes. So people always ask, when is mosquito season? And the answer is all year round. The reason is because our weather in California doesn't really change throughout the year. However, mosquito activity increases early June to mid-October. Therefore, it is important to begin to use mosquito repellent early in the mosquito season. So I know I gave out a lot of information. However, here are some highlights that I want to point out from my presentation. It is important to tip and toss containers that hold any water. Mosquitoes transmit diseases such as West Nile virus and dengue. To prevent mosquito bites, wear insect repellent and keep screens on doors and windows. It is important to also note that our district area is very large and we wish we can go to every property. However, we do not have the manpower for it. Therefore, mosquito control is a shared responsibility, and by conducting your own yard inspection or sharing this information to your friends and family, it helps us and it helps your community as a whole. Before I conclude my presentation, we've had this question, if COVID-19 can be transmitted through a mosquito bite. And the answer is no. According to the World Health Organization, there is currently no evidence that can indicate that COVID-19 can be transmitted from a mosquito bite. That concludes my presentation. If you would like to learn more information about our district and our services, please visit our website and follow and like all of our social media pages. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana and Caroline. Now that you've learned about the mosquitoes, I would like to invite you to participate in Los Angeles Public Library's Neighborhood Science Project to help the NASA scientists and researchers track the spread of mosquitoes in your neighborhood and predict outbreaks of mosquito-borne disease. The project is called the Mosquito Habitat Mapper. You can participate by downloading a NASA Globe Observer app to your smart device and follow the instructions in the app to identify mosquito habitats in your neighborhood, even your home or backyard. When you are done, submit your observations and then tip and toss any containers or dry out a spot that holds standing water. That way, you also prevent mosquitoes from taking over your house, backyard, or community. If you want to learn more about Los Angeles Public Library's Neighborhood Science Program, please visit our website at lapl.org/STEAM/NEISCI. And don't forget to check us out and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for more programs and services. Lastly, after this program, please help us improve our program by completing a survey. Here's the link to the survey. You can also find it on the Facebook post. Thank you for joining us today. Bye.